Howdy, howdy, howdy. Welcome back to MCubed and your favorite cinema news every week. Old Cinema Scoop, of course, with Sidetrack. This way, over here. Well, we got a fun laid back one today. We are talking some Dune 2, Dune Part 2, excuse me.
Dune! I love
What?
Dune! Carl Urban was brilliant in that, and it was one of the early rock movies. Sorry, your accent, it sounds like you said Doom. And they are supposed to be making a sequel. So let's talk about Dune instead.
When
It was
you think
brilliant.
Carl
And
Urban,
the gun bit with it was great, Dune was. It's one of those popcorn, don't think about it movies, but Carl Urban was good in it. Carl Urban was great in everything.
if Carl Urban does anything bad, I'll be surprised.
No.
Howdy, everybody. Howdy, howdy, howdy. What's happening?
My Quest your t-shirt.
And nice shirt. Oh my God. Mr.
It's a really
Sci-Fi
good
Question.
logo, that. It's a really good logo.
It is a great logo, and it looks great on a t-shirt. I really like it on a t-shirt. But do you know what it looks even better on?
Yeah, your penis.
I was going to say a sticker, but I could put a sticker down there.
That wouldn't fit.
Or a notebook.
Jesus Christ.
You know? Well, I was gonna get a sticker and a shirt, but then I saw the notebook while I was on there, and I was like, I do like a good notebook, so I was like, all right, well, let me support Melvin.
I don't think Sidetrack sells notebooks. I should look into that.
A nice leather-bound book. A few things are better.
Yeah.
Whether they're full or not, I'm gonna fill that one up. Howdy, everybody. Howdy, everybody. You got MCubed? I don't have MCubed. I have a sticker for myself, and I have a shirt for myself that a friend made, but I need to get them to either do that on a mass scale or do it where, like a spring tea or something, Teespring.
Do it, and yeah. It's better to get them and buy a few and then post them yourself, but it's more effort, and you've got to wait until you've got a couple of thousand.
Yeah, I'm not jumping on that thing just yet.
Do a limited run of a few.
Hey, that would be a good one. Yeah, benefits of using Streamlabs. Yeah, they do have like little Teespring stuff, huh? Okay, well we'll tell you when we're getting really spoilery.
I want to talk about not just Doom. I wouldn't mind talking because I finally finished watching
Avatar.
No, I watched Avatar weeks ago.
Okay,
no, the second season of Halo. I finally watched the second season of Halo.
Oh, you've caught up on it. Okay.
Got round to it finally.
Ooh, we got a new episode tonight / tomorrow, but
oh, it's just not over. I've seen the 6th episode. I thought that was a weird place to end the season, but I didn't look, so I thought,
it's either 8 or 10.
Cool. I got another episode tomorrow. I did think it was a bit of an odd. And I did wonder if it was obviously, but like I said, I didn't really look. I just thought it was 6 episodes. God, it's bright, isn't it?
I mean, we can jump on that a little bit later, but I really like the Halo series. I've enjoyed the Halo series up until now, but the last 2 episodes have turned me into a fan, I think.
Well, I have a few. Yeah, I have a few points I'd like to. I think would be interesting to discuss. But yes,
we'll jump into these Rushmores, and then we'll jump back into that, and then go Dune. Or we'll finish off with a bunch of Dune. But Rushmore wise, Dune. We are going to do the individual Dune Rushmore here, and the individual ones are going to be our favorite characters. So our top 4 favorite characters. Yeah. Or should we do Dune or Dune 1 and 2? I mean, Dune just 2 or both, and kind of put them together. You think?
I can never remember any names. All I've looked at is Dune 2.
So we're going Dune 2.
I'm sticking with Dune 2.
Let's do that.
Remembering names, as all regular Sidetrackers know, I barely remember my name. Never mind other people's. And I'm also going to butcher the pronunciation.
Well, there is some Doom and Dune. There's a lot of Doom and Dune. So,
there is a bit of Doom.
It works. I hope season 2 will pick up the last few episodes. For the last few episodes. I agree. Anyway, we'll get to that in a little bit. David, we need to talk some Shogun because yeah. But don't worry, I got names for y'all. I'm the naming type of guy. I'm a naming fool, so I got you. But individually, so our individual Rushmore is going to be the ones that we found, like our top 4 favorite characters for the Dune 2, and then the agreed upon Rushmore will be the 4 characters we think have been adapted from book to screen the best. And I know it's been a long time since you've read the books, and I haven't read the book all the way through. So we will do our best in that category, but I think we'll be able to figure out.
So what we're basically doing is this. So we pick 4 people for the thing because we're completely blind, have no freaking clue.
I would say we're better than blind. We do a little bit more research than most fellas do, so I think we're okay.
Well, I actually have read the books and I remember them. I've read all 6.
See? Well, I haven't read all 6. I own all 6. They're right upstairs, and I'm in the process. But
mate, you're from Texas. I'm just surprised you can read. So that's amazing.
We are
You're an American and a Texan. I'm amazed you don't get the book and shoot it.
We're not okay. We shoot the ones we don't like. The
instinct. Pull.
But hey, Texas is the number one place in the world for medicine, space, and oil. We like money, and to make money, you gotta be smart. So Texas is not Alabama.
Yeah, and then if you haven't got money, get your gun and take it.
No, Texas does all right. Texas does all right. Jay does remember stuff bloody well. See. Oh, he said bloody hell, not bloody well. But yeah, all the above. Anyway, let's jump in on these Rushmores.
I remember things, just not names. But yes, anyway, let's do it.
Who would be your top 4? Your favorite from Dune 2 that would
first I'm throwing in Christopher Walken as the Emperor because it's Christopher Walken. And it's Christopher Walken. The end of argument. It's the man is an absolute freaking legend. I love him. I've never seen him in. Even if the film is awful, he's brilliant because he always plays Christopher Walken.
Yeah,
so, doesn't play anyone else, but he just does it really well. It's a bit like he played The Fly and Jeff Goldblum. I love him, but he just plays Jeff Goldblum. Can you do this scene with a little bit more passion? No, I can do it as Jeff Goldblum. That's it. And Christopher Walken's exactly the same.
Both of them are just like, can you change your cadence just a little bit? And that's kind of how they do it.
Like, nope. It's going as it's going. But
the one that sticks out for me that I just immediately say, like, my favorite character, I think I do love Austin Butler's performance, but I think the standout performance in this movie is frickin' Javier Bardem as Stilgar. Stilgar was frickin' great every 3 moments. Like, and you turn around, he says something meme worthy, which is great. I love the little jokes and the gifs and stuff people are making right now.
Yeah. No, I really liked him as well. I think he would be a good one because I do think that was a really good version of from the book as well. That he is vicious, but he's a different sort of character to say Dave Bautista's character is a completely different sort of brutality. But I think he's put together really well. But you say about Austin Butler, I would have Austin Butler on mine. I love that character because he was genuinely freaking terrifying. So what was it? Foyd Router? Is the makeup was and everything as well. It was just phenomenal. He actually shaved his head for it, which respect. Even though
prefer Austin Butler or Sting?
Austin Butler.
I agree. I love Sting. I actually do like him a lot. But
Sting was brilliant in the original, but they just went further with it. Visually and everything, they went a lot further. And the guy's a really good actor. I really like Austin Butler. What did I see him in recently?
He's in Masters of the Air. He's in Elvis.
I'm watching him in Masters of the Air at the moment. He's fantastic in that as well.
I think I've seen it before.
I've seen Excess Baggage. He was in a great film with a couple of years ago now. I'll come back to me.
It wasn't
a little indie film that you'd love, actually.
Austin Butler?
No, Christopher Walken.
Oh, okay. Well, I love me some indie films. To continue this, you said you have Christopher Walken and Austin Butler. I have Austin Butler and Javier Bardem on mine so far. To put a third person up there, she's not there a whole bunch. She's there still about as much as she was in the first movie. But every second that you see Rebecca Ferguson, something important is going on. And not only is something important going on, but you see that importance through her. Like she's just the perfect mirror for what's going on in like the Fremen culture, I guess. And I love it. I think she's excellent. So I'm putting her
she
on
is
my
an
list.
excellent actress. You always know the really, really good actresses because they're nuts. And she is a little bit nuts, but not in a like she'll eat your kittens kind of way. Like she's just kooky and a bit weird.
You saw Dr. Sleep, huh?
Yeah. Well, I've seen her in loads of interviews. She's not right, but she's gorgeous and a brilliant actress. So, but I say she's not right. She's a bit of an eccentric or whatever.
Yeah.
She's a bit. You don't know if she's taking the piss out of you or if she's serious a lot of the time when she's talking. It's like, I'm not sure you're joking. She was good. Yeah.
Is that
I love her. I am gonna throw Timothy Chalamet on there for his portrayal as Willy Wonka. He was brilliant in it. I loved him in Willy Wonka. So he's going on my Mount Rushmore.
Okay, so you got Timmy, Austin, and Christopher Walken, and I have Jessica Ferguson, Austin Butler, and Javier Bardem. Who would be your final person to round that out?
I got Dave Bautista on my last list because Glossu was just who knew when Dave Bautista started acting that he could freaking act, and he's really, really good. And that Midnight Shyamalan movie, was it The Cabin or something like that it was called?
Yeah, that was The Cabin that he was in, yeah.
He was freaking amazing. He was so good. Restrained, terrifying. In this, he's at times he's like a big angry baby. And other times he's a bit broken. And at other times he's genuinely freaking terrifying. And I just oh my god, he's a good actor. I think he might be the best wrestling actor. He's actually like
I agree.
He's an actor. He's not like The Rock can do certain stuff, but actually The Rock can do comedy and all sorts. Dwayne Johnson is a good actor, or whatever. But Dave Bautista, you think if he got the right role, he'd win an Oscar. He really is that good.
Cena's trying to do that a little bit, but he's also focusing on
like The Rock. Cena can do the funny, and he can do what John Cena can do, but I don't think he's a great actor. I actually think Dave Bautista could be, or is getting there to become a genuinely good actor, not just like a good action star or whatever. Sorry,
you can see how much he cares, which is great. Yeah. WWE is acting, so yeah, it's not the most surprising thing in the world. It really is like it's WWE is between acting and dance choreography, and they just put it together and add some brutality to it, and there you go.
And violence, it's anybody says that it's fake. I'm like, have you seen some of the injuries?
It's like it is fake, ish.
It's like fake fight.
Yeah.
You watch the Undertaker versus Foley, that fight, the cage fight, and then you tell me that's fake. Isn't it? That man at one point Foley has been he gets thrown through the cage, right, and lands on the ground, and and the thing hits him in the face, and then when Foley gets up, he's running towards him, and Undertaker thinks there's a big bogey coming out of his nose, and it's not. It's his tuft. His tuft has been knocked out and shoved up through his cheek, his lip, and Foley kept fighting. It's just
add away, like good for him.
Brutal. Go watch. It's on YouTube. Go watch it. It's an amazing fight.
Ooh, I might actually. One of my good friends, he moved to Vegas not recently, I guess almost a year ago now. But he's kind of like a minor level, like getting into the WWE kind of thing. But he does like minor level wrestling and stuff.
Yeah.
And we just go to his events sometimes, and oh my god, like it's legitimately. I think it's way more fun to actually be there and witness it, obviously.
Yeah.
But
it's everything's better live.
Yeah, it's totally choreographed, and you can see the choreography. They're not like actually like punching and doing stuff like that. But when you get slammed or something like that,
we've gone off on a tangent
again. The dude's walking away with, or
I've watched a few interviews, but I used to love wrestling back in the day. I used to love it. I don't watch it, and I haven't watched it in years. But I used to love Triple H. Triple H was my favorite. Play the game. And I'm surprised actually in saying that a lot of it isn't really choreographed. Obviously, certain moves are, so they know how to throw a punch and not hurt each other, not knock each other out, something, and they know how to do a suplex, so they're stunt men. they know how to do these things and not get hurt, and there are rules to it. But actually, a lot of the time, it's just you're going to win, and you'll be the heel, and go. And they might have a quick chat about it beforehand, but that's about it. And then it's just sort of like it's just them. They know how to react to each other, sort of thing, and they play off each other. Yeah, they are. All of them are hyped up on steroids. Yeah, he's a legend.
It's just so
it's not like planned. They'll talk about it on the way in, sort of thing. Like, should we do this, and that? Yeah, okay, I'll do that. At some point, I'm going to throw you off there. Is that right? Yeah, let's do that. And then they just crack on. And they just do it. I'm like, that's it is impressive.
It is the first little event. The first little event that we ever went to for my buddy when he was like, all right, you got to start coming to our stuff. He got there. He was supposed to be like this frat boy kind of like wrestler dude. And then some other guy had already like signed up as a frat boy wrestler dude. So he had to change up everything. He was like, I'm an albino luchador now. And like, it was a whole thing. It was funny, but he didn't, he like literally went in blind. Like I was just shocked that he was able to do that and just,
no planning at all. It's mental. No. It's not surprised a few have been killed over the years. But anyway,
so Dave Bautista rounds out your Rushmore.
Yeah.
I think to round out my Rushmore would be Princess Irulan, Miss Florence Pugh herself, where she wasn't in every scene, of course, but like same where Rebecca Ferguson, if she's on screen, something important is happening, and you get that sense of urgency and importance from the character portrayal, even without her being like, we got to go do this. She's like, well, we got to like change the Fremen's minds. We got to do this and that, And then Princess Irulan is very similar, where she's not like, oh no, the emperor needs to do this or that. He's like, she says no. He was silent, and nobody knew what to say. So it's just every moment she has adds a level of gravity to the film that wouldn't have been there if she weren't there. So she's on my Rushmore there.
Yeah, she is brilliant. Again, yeah, I'd agree with that.
And she's British, Miss Florence Pugh.
Which it's why she can act. I'm surprised Dave Bautista is. I think Dave Bautista might have a bit of British in him.
Well, speaking of, we'll get into some good, bad, and the ugly aspects of everything later on. But Zendaya's not on my Rushmore. I liked her.
Yeah.
But she totally is like, she's not from Arrakis in this movie. There are certain points in the movie where she's like, I'm from the Bronx, yo. I'm like, come on, Zendaya. Like, come on. It felt like The Rock doing Black Adam and saying like, okay, well, I'm going to go do this ancient Egyptian dude and then sound like I'm from the Midwest. Like, no, you got to do a little something. Just not a whole bunch necessarily, but a little something. You came from this desert planet. Everybody else around you has accents.
For me, she's an okay actress.
I agree.
I think she's a very good model. And I loved her cyborg outfit. And I'm like, oh, I see her boobies. There's like little gold things around boobies. So that was great. And I generally thought that looked amazing. I wanted to see her actually in the show, in watching the film, sat down in that thing, because I don't think she could sit down in it. But
in her like water suit for Dune?
No, the for the premiere. You didn't see the robot premiere suit she wore in the world premiere over here?
I probably have. I just can't think of it off the top of my
head. No, you'd remember it. It's dramatic.
I live in LA. I walk outside.
Yeah, that's true. Well, she's probably like a robot suit, like something from like Megatropolis or something. That's what she looked like. But
just noticed.
Sarah, I'm a boy.
to Legion of Doom.
I really, really like boobs. I'm sorry, but I do. But don't worry. My wife's boobs, they're at risk. All she has to do is walk past, and I'm just like, hee. Everyone else's boobs are off limits. I don't even want to look. Thank you very much. I love boobs, but I'm very happily married to my wife's boobs.
Yes.
So they're my boobs.
Beautiful save.
Yeah, it's true. It's weird, right? I used to have boobdar, right? So like a pretty girl walked in, I'd be like, and I'm actually like, there's boobs somewhere in there. And they go, yeah, there's boobs somewhere. I'm like, and then that pretty girl walking boobs, and I have boobdar. It was really good. And now, no boobdar. Don't care.
that I don't cancel me for saying I'm not saying anything, whatever, yada yada, people. But that just reminds me of, you know, when people used to go around saying like Gator. It's
Yeah,
kind of like
Boobdar
instead.
That's where I get it from. Yeah, Boobdar. I've been saying it a long time. But my mate Glenda was particularly like, he'd just like see me like looking around and like, where? So like when we were younger. But now
You're a hound dog.
I'm very much in love and lust with my wife and her boobies. So
but
they're good. They're
that
all enough for me.
Rounds out our individual Rushmores. Jay's, yours were Austin Butler, Timothy Chalamet, Christopher Walken, and Dave Bautista. And I had Austin Butler, Florence Pugh, Jessica Ferguson, and Javier Bardem. So I think that's pretty damn good. Y'all tell us your Rushmores down below in the comment section, in the live comments, all that good stuff. Let us know. But what would be our shared upon, our agreed upon, adapted characters for a Rushmore?
I would go. I think Rebecca Ferguson's character is pretty much bang on.
Agreed.
What I remember of the character from the book.
Lady Jessica.
Yeah, she is supposed to be strange but loving, but hard, and there's lots of different things going on in that character that I think Rebecca Ferguson translates well, particularly in part 2 when, you know, I forgot his fucking name. Willy Wonka's character starts.
Paul Atreides.
Paul starts sort of going the other way, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
When it starts becoming more brutal. So when and the fear in her character as well really comes through in the book when she starts to realize that he might not be the good guy, sort of thing. Spoilers for part 3. That comes through really well. And I thought Rebecca Ferguson played that brilliantly, to be honest. I don't think she's supposed to be pretty, though, from what I remember from the book.
Well, they're not going to hire her.
Well, yeah.
You know, I'm totally with you. She's up there for me. And like everything you just said, I think the moment that the way Paul Atreides getting the powers of the Bene Gesserit after taking in the poison or the water of life, whatever they call it later on, it wouldn't have made as much sense, and it wouldn't have had the feel it had without Rebecca Ferguson, Lady Jessica, becoming the Bene Gesserit, the Reverend Mother earlier in the film. If we didn't see her go through that process, the Paul stuff wouldn't have made not necessarily not made sense, but it wouldn't have felt the same way. It wouldn't have had the weight that it had, and the way that she portrayed that almost birth-giving scene and like death-giving scene, how the Reverend Mother kind of gave her memories to her and little baby Aaliyah in the process. It was terrifying. And it was terrifying in like and not so much in some psychedelic like, oh, I'm getting the memories of thousands of generations of people kind of deal. Like it could have totally gone that way. Instead, they went kind of like a birth kind of route, and it felt visceral. And that viscerality, is that a word? I'm going to use it as word. The viscerality, I think, made Paul getting that same kind of power later on. It didn't make it where we could gloss over it, but it made it where we could keep going with the story, and we didn't have to like hang up on that for a little bit, which was great.
Yeah, the visceralization of that, seeing that we're just making words up, is it's one of those scenes, because I mean it's a relatively long scene as well, but it's one of those scenes that is you don't say anything, if you know what I mean. It's just sort of like
that theater, you could just drop a pin and hear it, you know.
Yeah, exactly. You almost feel it, sort of thing. It's really really quite intense. So yeah, she would be my first. Well,
speaking of Mr. Paul, would you put Paul Atreides as one of the better adapted characters?
He's a really good actor, and he's playing the change in the character really well. So, I mean, it really is just go from being a boy to a man to a hero. And then if we get the third movie, like it looks like we're going to
Revenge
the villain.
of the Sith. Huh? What?
Yeah, Revenge of the Sith, yeah.
Yeah.
So it would be very interesting to see what he does with that, because he becomes a very tortured soul in the third book.
How could he not be? I mean, he literally just got, just like his mama, thousands of memories just shoved in his brain out of the blue, literally out of the blue and into the blue, I guess.
Yeah. But I think he's doing a really, really, really impressive job. I think this lad, I forgot his name now. Yes, Timothy Chalamet. Particularly if you look at the three films that I've seen him in, right? It's obviously Dune 1, Dune 2, and Wonka. And you know I love Wonka. I thought it was my favorite film last year. I just loved it. It's not as a, just as a cinema enjoyment movie. I will probably never watch it again, to be honest. It's not one of those films, but I just really enjoyed it.
You'll watch it with your grandson in like 3 years.
Yeah, I'll watch it. Yeah, I'll watch it with my grandson in a few years. Yeah, that's that sort of film. I'll watch the Gene Wilder version before I watch that again, because I've watched the Gene Wilder version about 20 times. It's, to be honest, it's not in that league, but nothing is.
But it feels like a good prequel to it in a way.
It's not embarrassing.
Yes,
put it that way. Okay. It's got the respect of the first one, sort of thing. The first one would tip its hat to it and go, yes, well done. And then it would go to the Johnny run over and kick the Johnny Depp version in the balls. But yeah, it's a respectful prequel. They did a really good job. But he is brilliant in it. And my point is, though, that he plays three really completely different characters in those three films. Obviously, from June 1 to 2, from the start of June 1 to the end of June 2, because there is a progression, he's a completely different character.
Totally.
He plays it brilliantly. And then you've got Wonka, who's a fun, dopey, chocolate-loving idiot who has the wonder of a child in his eyes and stuff. And he plays that brilliantly. I'm not sure there's nothing this boy can do. I honestly think he might be one of the big actors of the next generation sort of thing. If he picks the right roles, because it is a lot of luck and it is a lot of picking the right movies. Because he's going to get offers. He'll get loads and loads of offers for things, but he's got to pick the right ones. He could really, really be a big star, sort of thing.
I think he will be. Literally, the Dune 2 cast is the next generation of talent, or more like the current generation.
It's the creme de la creme of right now, isn't it? Really is.
Zendaya's there just from association. Honestly, I do enjoy her as a person, and please hire me for season 3 of Euphoria again, because I'm part of that high school, literally. So I'm in season 2, but. She's in the category. She's in the class. I just don't necessarily think she's to the same pedigree as some of these other names, which would include Florence Pugh, Austin Butler, Timothy Chalamet, Anya Taylor-Joy, people like that. They're all about that 27 to like they're about a year or two older than me, all the way to it's like that 26 to 30, and they're just like perfectly talented. That entire little group, it's great.
Zendaya for me is more of a like she's not like going to win Oscars sort of thing, but she will be in films like Spider-Man and Dune even and things like that. And I think she's a very hard-working actress from what I
agree. I kind of feel like she's not just a compare to somebody else, but just to kind of like compare just career-wise. I think trajectory, she'll almost do a Jamie Foxx in a way. I think there could be one or two roles along the way that might deem her Oscar-worthy for certain things. But generally, like Jamie Foxx is fine doing that vampire movie that went straight to Netflix last year, Daylight, whatever it was. That was awful. But
popcorn movie.
Yeah, but it was so much fun.
This is stupid. But it was really fun. Can I pee yet? No. So I'd be great as a vampire because I need to pee all the time. So I'd be like, make me a vampire, baby. Make my life a lot quicker.
There you go. So what we are agreed upon so far? Would we put Paul on there? Paul Atreides is one of the two.
Yeah, I think he's and like I say, what an actor.
Yeah. So we got Paul and Lady Jessica as our two adapted characters out of 4 so far. Who's next? You know the easy one. You mentioned him before the stream. He's on my Rushmore. Stilgar.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Do you think he was well adapted though? Is the question? I think so.
I think he was. From what I remember of the book, because you try to visualize people when you're reading a book, right? And then sometimes when a movie happens, say like the Harry Potter movies, they cast that so well that those characters become the characters in your head. Still think that's why the Harry Potter series is really going to struggle when it comes out.
I don't like that idea.
I think he's similar. I think it's a similar thing there that his character has become that character. If I read the book now, it would be him in my head.
Yeah.
Jason Momoa's character is kind of similar. It would be Jason Momoa in my head now. I can't wait if they do the third. Jason Momoa's character in the third book is amazing. Yeah, Day Shift was really good. I really liked Jamie Foxx in Day Shift.
Give me some Lazarus. Come on, Duncan, Idaho. But I'm pumped for that. Yeah. So, I'm with you. I think Stilgar's just well adapted, and he also brings kind of like you were talking about with Dave Bautista. I think him and I don't necessarily think Dave Bautista is probably going to round out our Rushmore. I think there are probably characters that are adapted better, but the childlike nature of him, also with the dichotomy of like the brutality nature, whatever I'm trying to say, is kind of the opposite of Javier Bardem, where he has that childlike wonder in a religious sense, but also brings that brutality, but in a totally different way than Dave Bautista does. And I love that both of those performances are in the same movie and can sit apart and still be similar in the certain ways they are. It's just, it's really cool.
I think the problem with having Dave Bautista and maybe even Austin Butler on the best adapted thing is because I actually think they went further than the book. In some ways, they changed the character slightly, and that's not the actor. That I think both actors did amazing jobs with this. But I think they, and I think this would have been and Villeneuve, to be honest, making it more visually interesting than maybe is described in the book. I think that might be fair, particularly with the Austin Butler's character, that it's not quite how he was described. But it's like they've took it and sort of gone and made it bigger, sort of thing, and made it visually more spectacular and whatever. Sting is probably more like it was described.
I agree.
But that doesn't necessarily mean it was better for me, because I'm not a purist when it comes to things like that. I think books and movies are different, and you need to treat them differently. And if you make something more visually interesting from the book, or if something's in the book that isn't visually interesting but is important, you adapt it to make it right. I always say the way films end and the way books end are really completely different. And you see that if you watch like the Harry Potter sort of thing, they had to stick to this thing. I'm going to bring up those again. The films end weird, and you're sort of like going, is that the end? Lord of the Rings is the perfect example, actually. That they really stuck to how the book ends, but the film ends 45 minutes before.
Yeah,
that's how the film would end. And then they go, and they keep down the road for another 45 minutes because it's in the book. So they round the book off.
It's amazing they were able to do that and keep it as beautifully done as they did.
Yeah,
but it's hard where you have those
end.
You can have 30 pages in a book to finish it out, where you have 3 or 4 minutes to finish it out in a film, and you have to translate all that into that amount of time.
Yeah,
or find a way to use it. Yeah.
It works better because a film needs to end on a bit of a crescendo, whereas a book will explain things. A book, the crescendo will be 2 or 3 chapters before the end, and then it's sort of you explain and it all sort of ends nicely. Films don't tend to work like that. And I would say Lord of the Rings, it stutters at the end. It's still beautifully done, and I still love that. You know, I'm not going to argue and say that there was anything wrong with it. And I like that they put everything, they adapted the book so closely. Mm-hmm. But if you're watching that just as a movie, you are thinking the last 30 minutes of this really isn't necessary. I really don't care. You could have just done that. And Frodo went to Thing, and Frodo and done, and just like we can end the book.
But then we wouldn't have had everybody bowing to the hobbits, and I wouldn't cry at least twice a year from watching Lord of the Rings.
The bowing of the Hobbit was where I would have ended it.
Oh, okay.
That's where I would have ended it. And that would have been a good moment to like end. But that goes on for another 20 minutes after that.
Yeah, so, we go back to the Shire, and then from the Shire we go to the leaving. The leaving.
Yeah, I might have left it out, or I'd have filmed it and put it in the director's cut.
Well, that's what they did. Technically, a lot of that's only in that director's cut too, the extended cut.
Yeah,
which is now how we think about it, which is beautiful. Which, come on, Denis Villeneuve. I mean, I understand you don't want to Frankenstein something together, but if you film something like for the people that love what, give us the next
directors when the trilogy's done. And I genuinely, I'm being told there will be a trilogy. I think it's pretty much the worst kept secret in Hollywood right now that there's going to be a trilogy.
Well, they confirmed it.
It hasn't been confirmed now.
Yeah, Paramount already said they're in active development for it.
Ah, cool. Right. Last time I looked, they weren't. They hadn't admitted it yet. Last time I looked, I know the director's sort of more than once said he'd love to make it into a trilogy, and it makes complete sense. If you think of the story arc of the Paul Atreides character, look at me, I remember the name. It completely works as a trilogy. They will have to adjust the final book though if they're going to use the same actors, unless they're going to use stupid special effects, which I hope they don't.
I think something good for that, because for people that don't know, Dune Messiah is 20 years post act, like
24 years after or something.
Well, also in Dune, they are mid-teens kind of deal.
They're supposed to be mid-teens, yeah.
So now that they are like 25, 28.
But doesn't the Dune book go over 2 or 3 years? I think, doesn't it? Because he's in the desert, like becoming
during his teenage years, though, right? It's all he's all very young. So I'm thinking, later sci-fi. We'll talk to you soon, Melvin. We are going to discuss this a little bit more, though. It's a good topic to leave us on, my friend. I'm
going to say I don't think that was announced. Oh, the movie I was done about earlier, by the way, with Christopher Walken, was 7 Psychopaths.
Oh, great. Okay.
Brilliant indie movie, fantastic film.
Mm-hmm. This cat is getting up into all these different little boxes right now. Brain fart. Dune Messiah. What was I going with all that? Oh yeah. Okay, so Dune Messiah is 20 years in the future, and they're
it's not been confirmed, but he is working on the script.
Okay.
They're not going to greenlight it until the script's done. He is working on the script. That was announced 2 hours ago.
Ew.
So how the hell did we know that? That's creepy. 7 hours ago. It was announced 7 hours ago.
Cool. Okay. I'm thinking they don't have to do as much in the aging aspect of things, because they have them aged up about 10, 12 years from where they are in the actual books.
I think they just rework it slightly. I think they just rejig it. It's pretty much spoiler free. I don't think we've
so far we've been good. We're being dicey, but there will be times where we just don't realize we're saying something. So be prepared for those.
And obviously, if you've read the book,
you're good.
And Messiah, we are spoiling things for Messiah, but again, most people have read the book.
Yeah.
And
if not, we still have probably 5 years till they even get that made, because there needs to be a time jump, first of all. And as sci-fi fans, we're just freaking lucking out, because, Denis tapped to direct Rendezvous with Rama before he directs anything else. Mm-hmm. So we're getting the Rendezvous with Rama adaptation first, and I'm pumped.
We're still getting the TV. We're getting the TV adaptation as well, aren't we?
Sisterhood, I think.
Yeah, the Sisterhood thing. We're getting that at some point. So as soon as that'll come, way before they think about the third movie, anyway.
Yeah,
they're gonna try and make it into a franchise. Let's be honest.
Oh yeah, I mean they already have. I don't know if that's gonna be good or not. That had production squabbles from the get-go, and they were struggling. I'm sure that they're already done filming it. I think they filmed it before the strikes happened. So they're just in post-production or something like that at this point. I'm not entirely sure.
I don't think that they might have done. Rebecca Ferguson's in it, isn't she?
I don't think so, because it's not the forming of the Bene Gesserit, but it's an early on prequel.
Right. Okay. I haven't. Yeah. I need to
Brian Herbert
myself about it. I know they were in the process before the strikes. I don't know if they'd quite finished, but
I can actually look on the IMDb Pro and just see what they got going. Who do we have on our shared list real quick, though? We have Lady Jessica, Paul Atreides, and then who did we just Stilgar?
Yeah, Stilgar.
Who would be our fourth and final? Because we kind of did just say Raban and Feyd-Rautha don't get it, but I wouldn't mind tossing Baron Harkonnen.
Yeah, because they are excellent.
I wouldn't mind tossing Baron Harkonnen as well-adapted character up there.
Yeah, he is pretty impressive. Let me just go back to my list and just 1 second. Oh, I changed page because I was looking at.
I'm looking Sisterhood of Dune. What was it called again, y'all?
Sisterhood of Dune.
Because I'm looking up Sisterhood and it's not popping up.
No, it's called The Witches, or no, I can't remember. It's not something I've really looked into, to be honest.
Dune Part 2. Dune Part
1. Baron Vladimir does. Thingy Skarsgård does do a hell of a job as that, because he's supposed to be disgusting, basically, and he's supposed to be a gluttony and all that. And I think more in the first one maybe than this, but yeah.
It just leaned into, I think we got more of his personality in the first movie, but this one leaned into the nasty side of him. Every single time we see him, he's either floating up, doing his little thing, being really creepy, or he's sitting in a bath, just huge, nasty bath full of like muck instead of water. I don't know what he's bathing in. And then just smoking on a hookah. He's like literally just, he couldn't have less worries in the world. And he's just like, yep, go kill somebody for me. Go do this. And he's just like, dude.
He's that, like the bit where he's like in oil and stuff as well. He's like, I think that's such a good image of it, because it's like his soul is leaking out of him or something. It's so good and so well done, visually and the acting. That and it is perfect for the adaptation. It is just how the Lord is depicted. This unpleasant, slimy, cruel, just the epitome of evil.
There's a reason Austin Butler's performance is so good, and it's because he mimics Stellan Skarsgård. like that is, he's literally like he stole his voice in a lot of ways, which is hilarious. And hey, that's the right performance to mimic. If you're going to mimic one from that movie, that is the right one to mimic. So, would he round out our four? Is he?
Yeah, do it.
Rushmore?
So do it. And he's a great actor.
Lady Jessica, aka Rebecca Ferguson, Paul Atreides, Timothée Chalamet, Stilgar, Javier Bardem, and Baron Harkonnen. Mr. Stellan Skarsgård himself rounds out our agreed upon Rushmore. What would y'all's adapted Rushmore be? Who would be the best adapted characters from the book to the screen, in your opinion? Let us know down below. All that good stuff. But besides that, we're kind of just hanging out. We can talk some Halo, we can talk some Shogun, or we can just keep going on Dune.
I haven't started Shogun yet, so we can talk about it if you want. But it's going to be, I'm just going to sit here going, oh yeah, I'm not sitting in.
We won't say anything much. Do you know
Should I watch it?
1,000%. It's being heralded in as the new Game of Thrones right now, and it's not because there's dragons flying around or some like big giant grand scale army kind of thing. It's hopefully working its way into that. But Shogun is very much like, a Shogun is essentially like an emperor in a lot of ways.
Yep.
And
as an emperor warrior, isn't it, Shogun?
Yeah.
Isn't it going to be like a samurai? Then it's like a progression, isn't it? Like a
So the Shogun of this time period passes, and we pick up, and there are 5 lord, and the Shogun has a son who I think is only like 10 or 12 years old. He's young like that. And the Shogun has 5 lord regents of Japan that own different fiefs and different things like that. So they're in charge of their own little five kingdoms, almost like Game of Thrones would, the War of the Five Kings. So it's essentially that, but in Edo era Japan, and it's just so freaking good. Like, and like the first thing whenever it started, and I think Melvin and I talked about it for a little bit at one point, was Anna Sawai, the main girl from Monarch: Legacy of Monsters, is one of the main actresses in it. And you know how I felt about Monarch: Legacy of the Monsters, especially the acting part of it, because I'm just like, it's so wooden, it's so like just by the book. They're just the scenes are sitting still, nobody's doing anything. She needs to win.
I was a proper roller coaster with that. I think it's getting better. I'm really enjoying this. Let's come back to this.
Yeah,
stupid and boring. No, it's getting good again. Oh no,
Shogun, she's going to be on a short list for an Emmy for Shogun.
Really,
and she deserves every bit of it. It's fantastic. And Hiroyuki Sanada is you'd recognize him in a heartbeat. He's
because he's been in everything that's if you need like a Korean or a
he's
Chinese
like the main guy, essentially. Not necessarily the main guy, because there's a guy named John Blackthorne, which is like the Englishman kind of version of things, and that's where you get your English aspect, which is technically Portuguese in the show. When they're speaking Portuguese, they're speaking English.
Because it's I was going to say something really that would annoy religious people then, so I won't. Carry on. I was going to say a very silly joke that annoys religious people.
Well, tell me after.
It's not respectful, so I try not to say
look at him. Ooh, on the Twitters. On X. Mr. Matthew Dean. If you're not up to anything, come say howdy.
Smile in your picture, damn it. You've got such a pretty smile. Use it.
Gorgeous smile.
I keep forgetting how tall he is. When I meet him, because we're going to Basingstoke Comic Con in a couple of months, and I keep forgetting how tall he is. It's like I'm going to go, oh shit, hello, Matt. How are you, mate?
I don't smile. You know what? Speaking of how tall you are, something that would make you smile is please wear J like Yoda and walk around Basingstoke.
Yeah, you probably could actually just carry him around in a cot. You probably could.
Just put you on his back for a little bit.
Yeah, you
have to dress green like Yoda, though.
And Matthew does smile. I've seen him smile. Matt with one T.
Just one T.
I'm only 6 foot. I'm 5'7". For fuck's sake. I'm going to see if my wife wants to watch it.
Yeah, it's one that there are subtitles, so it just depends how you feel about reading subtitles.
I have to read.
Well, a third of the show is in Japanese, or half the show. But it's reading. So good that it's worth it. It's worth it. And I mean, it's totally it's the modern era. It's 10 years later.
I'm watching my wife then. She plays her brain train games at night, right? So she listens and she does, but we chill out in the evening. So I can't watch it with a wife because I'll constantly be rewinding it. So I'll watch it on my own.
Oh, and another reason to watch Shogun, you have Mr. Louis Ferreira in there as well. Colonel Young.
Louis Ferreira.
Colonel Young is in there.
No, okay.
Not a whole bunch, but Colonel Young is in there. So you get a little Stargate universe.
Okay.
And he doesn't lean into he's not trying to be like, because it's his name's Louis Ferreira. He's not from the States or anything like that. And as Colonel Young, he's very like, I'm American military man. Like that's the part of the performance is kind of like, okay, do I like this guy or not? And it's because of the way I guess the character was written. This is totally like he's very Portuguese in this, and it's so much fun. It's a whole different character. I love it.
Is he a drunk? Because he always plays a drunk. He's a drunk in this as well. Okay, he's always a bloody drunk. Okay.
He's a drunk sailor. He's not the most drunk, but he's definitely a piratey sailor. So that leans into it.
Always
Stargate tie-in. Always. Where there's a will, there's a way, and Stargate will find its way. Hopefully.
Excuse me.
Hopefully soon. But no, Shogun's 1,000% worth the watch. And
on just quickly on Stargate, middle of May. Shh. I'm just saying. The middle of May. It's lovely. The weather gets nice in the middle of May. It's
lovely. Should I mark it on my calendar here?
If you were to, around, I forget which day it is. Let me have a look. Let me just read my email quickly.
I'm hoping I'm back in the States by that point, because I'm going to be gone for most of May.
Emails on my other email. Wait a second.
I have such a fun little...
Oh, no, it's not in an email. I've got to go to the WhatsApp group. Let me go to the WhatsApp group. I'll give you an actual date.
Right, that's it. Hoo-hoo-hoo! Hoo-hoo-hoo-hoo! Y'all didn't know you were getting extra news. Hoo-hoo.
Well, I'm not allowed to say... I can't do a video about this because I'm not allowed to say anything. All I'm saying is that the middle of May is lovely. And May 15th might be a lovely, sunny, warm day. That's all I'm saying.
May what?
And I can't say this on... I can say this on this channel because nobody I know watches this channel. So,
what, give me the day.
The May 15th. It's a Wednesday. It'll be lovely and sunny.
I'm be in Africa.
And something might
It'll be very sunny.
And something might happen.
Ooh. I'm just gonna definitely.
I don't know, and honestly, in this thing, I have absolutely no idea why. All right, so don't ask, because I don't know. All I've been told is May the 15th, and it'll be lovely.
May the 15th be with you.
Exactly.
Not the 4th. May the 4th be with you, of course, but may the 15th be as well. It's very important. May is when Doctor Who returns.
Yeah, Doctor Who will return. Yeah.
Just use the TARDIS. Nobody will know.
No, wait, is that your birthday, Mark? That'd be amazing if I just picked your birthday. There you go. Happy birthday.
Yeah. I'll find some Wi-Fi. I'll find some Wi-Fi in some hut. I don't know how I got this.
Starlink. Come on, Elon.
They're great. We have one. I love it. But yeah, that'll be great. That's not during Basingstoke, is it? Or is it the tail end or the beginning of it?
It's tail end, isn't it?
Is it May 12th?
12th. It's literally the Wednesday after.
Ah, okay.
10th to the 12th. I think it's just Basingstoke. I should. Let me have a look at my calendar. La 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 la.
Well, after
yes, 10th, 11th, and the 12th. Basingstoke.
Okay, I thought it was either that or 15, 16, 17. I just couldn't remember because I knew I was.
I put it this way as well. Nobody that's going to be appearing at Basingstoke need to worry about it. Just leave it at that.
Was that a nice... I want a wrench. I need a wrench just to like put up in here and be like, that was a wrench and things, you know? I'm just a cheesy bastard. So.
What I'm saying is you can look at who's at Basingstoke and you can think about whether Stargate's going to return or not. And you can think about whether any of the people at Basingstoke need to concern themselves with it. They don't. And I am fucking furious. But that's apparently what's happening, but I'm not allowed to say. I've already said way more
next
than
topic. We'll talk
afterwards.
Yeah, we'll talk later.
Any of that. If everybody can, please forget I said anything. That would be great. I don't think I've said too much. I think I'll get in trouble over it. But
Mark is talking about Doctor Who. Use your TARDIS, go back in time a little bit, and completely because it does do time stuff, right? I think I don't know. Time traveler's wife. I don't know. Do something time travel-y.
Doctor Who returning. I can't freaking wait. No.
Woo! Yes. Matt needs to be our Doctor Who person. He knows how to be excited. Doctor Who makes Matt smile. Doctor Who makes Matt smile very much.
Dude, Matt, we're going to be shaking RDA's hand. So, I mean.
Is that all you're going to be shaking? Kidding. Cryptic much?
Shake anything else it is. I'm not allowed to, Dave. I'm sorry. I'm not allowed to have said any of that. So I'll tell Harris after the live, though.
What do you mean? I'm me? Who? Huh?
Yeah, I can tell you. It's
okay.
Just not when we're live.
Now let's jump past all the dice. Huh? Mm-hmm. Well, speaking of dicey is a better way of saying it almost, because Halo Series 2, Halo Season 2. I feel like I think we were
before we get into it. Let me ask you this then, question. Because
okay.
this is how I'm framing it in my brain. After the third episode, how did you feel about it? If you're honest.
Exactly what I was thinking. So obviously,
Actually, let's take the first episode out because I think the first episode stands on its own. The second and third episode, and then everything after it, right? Because I actually quite like the first episode. I know a couple of people bitch, but I actually quite liked it. I liked the bit in the fog and the fighting and stuff. I thought visually it was really interesting. But then the second and third episode went back to the first season, and I thought really nothing happened. And then episode 4, 5, and 6. Oh my god, it's so good.
well, so my theory is obviously they changed showrunners before season 2, like literally before season 1, I guess, ever aired. They were like, we're gonna put it out. We're proud of it, but we're gonna go a different route for season 2. I think those first 3 episodes, including the first episode, was kind of the almost fulfillment of where season 1 was going, and then they were like, we finished that, and now we're telling our story. In episode 4, I think, is when that happened, and damn, that was easily the best episode of Halo so far. And 5 and 6 afterwards are so good. So like, I'm genuinely excited for midnight to hit tonight, so I can just press play. Like, I'm
first thing in the morning. I'm nailing that. That's good. I can't wait. I honestly, they've touched back on the first season again. Now they've gone back into the Halo stuff towards the end of the last episode. The Doctor came back in and went, "Oh, you weren't picked. You were, blah blah blah." And that we started to touch on the mystical-y stuff again. And we had the bit with the general bad guy, I forget his name, with the little blonde chick, and they had that conversation where he's about to kill her, and and again the mystical side of it sort of comes in a little bit. But that's really all that we've had. The first season was very much about the Halo and the key and all that, and it was very much a bit like, ooh, none of that in this season for most of it. It's been about the war. It's been about the conflict. And I think it's been way more interesting. I'm going to say something controversial.
Huh?
I like that he hasn't been in his armor for most of
I agree.
Series.
Did you never really played the Halo games, huh?
I did a bit. I played with my kids. I played the first couple. I played Reach and I played a couple of others.
Reach is the only game I ever played. And I guess just coming from that perspective, I'm not beholden to Master Chief needs to be like, and I get people saying he needs to be the Mandalorian. He needs to essentially like not take it off ever and all that. But for these current episodes to be as good as they are, I hope people that are kind of like staunch, like it has to do this, it has to do that. I hope it kind of changes people's tune a little bit, because these are easily the best episodes of the entire series so far, and they're so well done.
We're seeing more of the Master Chief as he's trying to figure out who the hell he is as well, and he's more than just a warrior. In the games, we only see him fighting at the end of the day because it's a game, so you only ever see him mistake. In this series, obviously, in the first season, it did feel a bit weird once or twice. It felt like they were writing it to get his helmet off. Which sounds rude. Why did that sound rude? I don't know. Not just because I said helmet.
Well, it's the way it felt. And that felt like a disservice to the people that love the property. Yeah. Which this feels much more natural, which is great.
Yeah. Well, it feels like there's a point to it this time because he's a bit tortured and he's trying to figure out where he is. And they tore him down a little bit in the first couple of episodes. And then, obviously he's the Master Chief again, sort of thing.
I hated, and I didn't hate, but because coming from someone who never really played the games besides Reach, which is just the prequel, and it's kind of literally where we're at right now. Mm-hmm. That first season, I didn't hate that he wasn't. I was confused because I know Master Chief is not just like the name of the character; it's supposed to be a rank. Like he's supposed to be the one in charge of everyone there. So I don't necessarily like that they took that out of the show and they really kind of held that in that first season and were like, all right, we're gonna push you down a little bit kind of deal. Mm-hmm. I like that in this season they've still done that to a degree, but they've done it in a much more human way. Where last season they were kind of like people were looking at him weird and stuff, and I like that they never technically said that they knew that John was Master Chief. They were just like, who's this weird drunken looking dude walking around everywhere kind of deal. In this, when I'm in that episode 4 where what's his name? Colonel whatever that has that great ending scene at the end of episode 4. You know what I'm talking about.
You don't mean the Admiral?
Admiral, that's who I meant. Admiral
he dies in 6 to 5? Dies in 5. It is the 4th episode. Yeah, he's when they do the whole stand up because this is John 1146. You know him as Master. I was just like, I was just like, yes, and this is our Independence Day. Woohoo! Something. I was losing. I thought it was fucking brilliant.
I wish they would have utilized that like the sensibility more in season 1, I guess, than season 2.
Yeah.
Because in season 1 it was more like
character that
he's just walking around, just John again, whoop-de-doo, like another day at the base, and now it's like, okay, you might not recognize this guy, but you know him, and it was just a very visceral moment to bring that word back into things.
I think we've seen Master Chief. We've seen the rest of the Spartans. We've seen a lot of that CGI, them jumping around and bouncing about and being like the game stuff. We've seen that, but we've also seen that, for one, the guy that plays Master Chief can really freaking act. He's done a great job. And my God, he's big.
And he's 6'5". Like, it's insane.
Yeah. Oh, he fits. Well, I mean, I've seen him in other things over the years. He has bulked for this. He looks great for it. He's perfect character, and he can still move good as well. I mean, because like you think like the guy that plays Jack Reacher, I forget his name. I do know his name. He plays Reacher.
Alan Richardson.
Alan Richardson. He's so big, he struggles to move, and you can see that sometimes. I used to fight a little bit. I used to be a bit of an aggressive little shit. And I know you if I fought somebody like Alan Richardson, I actually wouldn't worry me. Because as long as he didn't get hold of you, if he got hold of you, he'd crush you like a grape. But somebody that big, they can't move their arms that quick, and they can't, so you go for the knees, basically. You fight somebody like the guy that plays Halo, and he will kill you.
Pablo Schreiber.
Yeah, well, he can move. Is the problem? He can still run. He can still. So I'm watching it. I'm going, this guy can really. He's an athlete. He's doing
the athleticism is very apparent, which is cool.
We used to rate threats. Yeah. Oh, he would be a great Kurgan. That's a good shout, Sarah. Yeah, I like that. He would be a good Kurgan. And he's got to be bigger than Henry Cavill, so that would work.
Yeah. Master Chief, you got it.
Yeah. Just looking down on him, sort of thing. Because Henry Cavill actually isn't. Is Henry Cavill 6'1"?
I think he's 6'1", if I remember.
He's big, but he's not like stupid big, is he?
And Peter just said Alan Richardson is only 6'3", so that 6'5" with Schreiber would definitely work.
Well, you only need a little bit, though, didn't you? So it only needs to be.
I don't know if he's a half brother, but I know Pablo Schreiber is Liev Schreiber's little brother. He's
185 centimeters. How big is 185 centimeters?
Thanks.
185 centimeters in feet. He's just over 6 foot, Henry Cavill. So the guy's got 2 or 3 inches on him. So that'd be enough.
Yeah, it would, and he's good, and he's.
You can do a lot with 2 to 3 inches. I tell you, there's a lot of things you can do with that.
Well, speaking of 2 or 3 inches, that's where not Logan, what's his brother?
Stop doing that.
That didn't help either. I was thinking Sabretooth's claws from X-Men Origins Wolverine. You remember
Loeb? Levi Loeb or something like that is his name?
Liev Schreiber.
Liev Schreiber. Okay.
Pablo Schreiber's older brother. I think he's only a half brother, but they're related, which is always cool, I think. Oh God, every inch counts. I think the U.S. would go with metric. Yes. I don't know. You threw me off with that one.
Yay!
Uh,
I embarrassed the young boy. He's gone a bit pink.
well, I don't know where to go now. Hey, Halo though.
Hey mate, when you've got 2-3 inches, you just go everywhere you can. Really, anybody that's willing. You can't afford to be picky, sir.
Touche.
Just go where's willing.
Where's Willie?
Have you seen that? There's a woman in this. I'd love to know what you people think of this, right? Because it just threw me. This has got nothing to do with sci-fi movies or TV. But I was watching morning television yesterday, and there were some women on there, and they want to change the law in this country. I don't know what it's like in America, but we've got there is a law about consent. If you have shenanigans with a young lady or a young man, whatever you want to do, but you have to get consent, right? So before you make love to a pretty lady, I have to go, excuse me, pretty lady, can we do the bump uglies? And she has to go, yes, we may bump uglies, and then I can bump uglies, right? They want to change the law to change the wording to enthusiastic consent, right? What the fuck does that mean? Basically, if I'm on a date and I'm sort of like, you're getting the snogging bit, and maybe you're doing a bit of that, like you were doing earlier. Maybe I have to stop and go, do you fancy a bit? And she has to go, yeah, all right. Because no, can you give me a bit more, please? I need you to say, I need a bit more enthusiasm. I need you to say, yeah, let's do it. Let's screw, sort of thing. And then would you mind just signing this document that says you enthusiastically agree? It makes no freaking sense to me. I just want to slap these two women in the face and go, live in the real world, you idiots. It's like, yes. But right, there's a joke though, isn't there, about if a woman says no, she means no. If a woman says, oh no, you tease, she means maybe. So that's when you go, and you give her a little tickle or something, you see if she responds nicely. But there's that enthusiastic. I'm sorry, it just makes no sense to me. You young people are so screwed.
That's what I'm thinking. I'm just like, how the hell? Like, can't we just have a conversation? Like, shit.
Yeah, can we just get down and jiggy? And if you don't say yes, or if you grab anything, then I'm taking that as consent. Don't get me wrong. If a girl's drunk and unconscious, that's no consent. Bloody Bill Cosby, you naughty man. But you've got to get consent, and you've both got to be willing. But for the love of God, enthusiastically consenting, idiots.
Well, the first thing that my brain goes to is you can't have makeup or breakup sex if enthusiastic consent is a thing. Like, that's not even like.
Yeah. The consent is going to be more enthusiastic than the sex most of the time. So
it's true.
Yeah, that wouldn't be far off.
But yeah. Well, speaking of Shogun in Japan right now, y'all seen literally there are twice as many people dying every year than being born in Japan. Like literally twice, which is terrifying.
They actually say we're going to start seeing a slowdown and maybe even a decrease in human population. We're seeing the baby bloomers, basically baby boomers. They're all now
no blooming anymore.
Yeah, well, they're all at dying age, basically. So they reckon we've seen so that these projections of like 50 billion by whatever, it's probably not going to think. I should do dating advice. Do a bit of a and if she doesn't punch you in the face, you're in.
You're in.
Yeah. And the British way of doing it is going, so would you like to come back to mine for a drink? And if she says yes, you're in. And you never ever say anything more than that.
I didn't want to make the joke, but I guess just because you did it, I was about to say, do the British do anything enthusiastically?
No, not really.
I was like,
apologize enthusiastically, and
the most enthusiastic thing y'all
drunk and a bit fighty enthusiastically. We do like a fight. So I mean, but even then, we're very polite about it.
Football, there you go. Certain things, yeah.
But that's going into the fighty bit.
I do love how sports are essentially simulated warfare, and people just forget, like, oh, humans, like, no. Like, we still have this stuff in us. Like, it is innately in us as human beings. We found better ways to get it out of us sometimes, you know? Now, J dating advice equals birth rate less than 0. All the above.
It's a bit like my dating advice is similar. If women all of a sudden became psychic, the birth rate would go down. That's the only way the birth rate could go down lower. Either follow my advice, all women psychic, basically has the same net result. All men are screwed. So no, this is a downward, I say. But I have been married twice, once successfully. So I must know something.
No comment. I plead the fifth.
That's a 50% hit rate, baby.
What is it What Women Want? Is that Mel Gibson movie?
Oh yeah.
Where he can read women's minds.
He can read women's minds, yeah.
Uh-huh.
I'm gonna have to watch that film again. It's probably considered sexist and misogynistic now, but actually I thought it was a really good film. I love that film.
That's one of those movies where like, oh, that wouldn't be made nowadays. Ooh, but I'm gonna go watch
men look it does make women look a bit shallow or whatever, but it makes men look completely idiotic as well. So
yeah.
it's actually it takes the piss out of both genders quite a lot.
Human movie.
Yeah, I might watch that again. I'll have to find that.
It's a
there was the best bit of advice I ever got about women, and this is genuine, and I actually think it might be true, but you ladies can tell me. And Harris, you've got long hair. You probably know. Hippie. Is that men should never try to figure out women, because women have a set of rules, and they don't tell you what those rules are. And if you start to figure out what the rules are, they take the rule book that they've got, they shred it, and they get a new one. And then they start the process all over again. I've been married twice. I genuinely think that's true. But even my wife now, who actually we have a really brilliant, cooperative, sharing marriage. And I still want to put my head through a wall every so often. We're just like, no, last time I wasn't allowed to do that. Why am I allowed to do it this time? Or, it's like, just, can we have some consistency? And it's just, I think she does it to mess with me.
I mean, I would if I were her. Just if messing with anybody's a good time, so why not? But also, it makes it very difficult for us to try to decipher things.
Yeah, well, if I want to tell my wife something, I use words. If my wife wants to tell me something, she uses either silence. And actually, this is my first wife. My wife now doesn't. She doesn't really play these stupid games. But my first wife did. And it would be, and she genuinely more than once said to me, you'd know what was wrong if you loved me. And I goes, no, I'd know what was wrong if I was fucking psychic. I'm not. Just tell me. But there was a reason why it was not a successful marriage in the end. But I didn't kill her. So,
so she'd take a go at you. Is the question.
Yeah. Oh, she tried to mentally kill me. But she used guilt like it was a double-edged sword, like a really effective weapon. And you shouldn't do that when you're in a relationship, for God's sake.
Guilt or fear? Because
no, it was emotional blackmail. Emotional blackmail was her go-to. That's what she used to use. Make you feel guilty and get what you want. And I'm like, no, we're supposed to be in a relationship. We're supposed to be a couple. We don't need to do that. If you know we're supposed to share this, and if there's something wrong, tell me. I love you. I want to actually fix it. Because I did at the time. Now I hate it. But that's how me and my actual successful marriage goes now. We share things. If something's wrong, you tell them, and because they love you, they want to help, or tell you to stop being a stupid sod and go make my tea, which is what my wife also does sometimes. But
I had a beautiful moment. You missed it though. I was working a "Fear is the Mind Killer" quote into it, and I was trying to find a way to do it again, and it just wasn't going to happen. So I just had to try to get it.
I would have missed that pop culture reference straight up my head. Didn't miss
Dune 2. Fear is the Mind Killer.
Oh yeah, of course.
But David brought up a great point. Spinoff.
Yeah.
Jay's Saturday mornings are now devoted to dating advice.
I'll do it. We can do it on Sidetrack. You could just call in with your advice, and I'll tell you how to sort it. It's what I do for a living. basically solve people's problems. So why not do it in my free time as well?
So the new we'll give you a whole new channel. You're gonna go crazy with it. It's gonna be morning advice with Jay, and then evening you can do life coaching.
Yeah, and then
You
just
can
get
call it
stoned with
Auntie
you
Jay.
and me. Auntie Jay. Oh man, Peter, you're on it. Advice from Telford, Auntie Jay from Telford. Here we go. Over a nice cup of tea.
I was trying to work the "Fear is the Mind Killer" quote back into things, but I didn't sandworm my way into that one. Oops.
We always wander off the feckin' subject.
Yeah, this one's just a fun one though. We're just discussing Dune and Halo. Essentially, we kind of did discuss Halo. Like it was okay, and now it's good. Now it's good.
Yeah, really, really good. Really nailed it at the end.
So anyway,
we always wander off the subject by this point. We've been talking for over an hour. We always wander off the subject by this point.
You know we're going to wander off subject if by the half-hour mark we're still on Rushmores.
Yeah, because we've already wandered off the subject more than once.
Because it should be about 10:15 and about 10:15 or something like that. But if we're past that half-hour mark, good luck, Chuck. Don't forget the warm sweater. It's not sidetrack, side wreck. Hey, there you go. Side wrecking relationships can be your joking little merchandise. You got merchandise.
I'm sitting there. Actually, Dave, it's her fault. Go and tell her it's her fault. And then just sit back and wait for the devastation.
As long as you don't go full British Andrew Tate on us, we'll be good.
Yeah.
Don't
start. Then Dave will come back and go, apparently it's not my fault. Apparently it's not her fault. It's my fault. She explained it to me. And I'm like, yeah, that's how that shit works.
I love a good wander. Wandering's great. Those who wander are not always lost, or however the quote goes. It's a great quote. I butchered it, but you got the gist.
To wander is to explore as well. Is one I know. And you can wander your mind as well as your feet.
Ooh.
And it's
I do both.
Yeah, you can explore. There's one guy told me because the best things you'll find are when you're lost. And I was like,
not all who wander are lost. There we go. It was much.
Not all that wander are lost. Yeah, but yeah, you'll find the most. You'll find the most important things when you're lost. That's what it was.
Agree.
Yeah. He is. We have removed his British passport. The Queen, before she passed away, slapped him in the face and told him to get out. The King's too polite.
He doesn't have some bad points. He just the way you go about making those points, like clearly you're not a very good human being. Like I was like,
he's a criminal. He's not just a bad human being. He's a criminal, and he doesn't say what he believes. He says what he knows will get clicks sometimes. But he is a criminal. He is a criminal. We know this now. He's a criminal. But yeah, even if stuff on his views and his opinions, I don't think he actually believes a lot of it. I think he just says what he will get shock value.
Well, he's kind of like the Liver King in a lot of ways, where like 80-90% of the stuff he says, the core of it is really it's got good stuff. It's got good merit, and then it's just the freaking approach that you take, and then that 10-15% of bullshit just clouds everything. Yeah. And he's
channels you get. I watched. I've been doing these Star Trek videos the last few days. Right?
Yeah.
And sharing a bit of information. And I actually came across a guy that's got like 500,000 subscribers. He was talking about similar stuff. He didn't quite have the info I've got, but it was along the same lines. But he just went on about woke Star Trek and blah 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 for ages. And I'm just like, this is what's wrong with the fucking world. I do a video, I share information, I give you my opinion. I try to do it in an interesting, and I try to have a laugh with it, but I don't, tell you what to think. YouTube and the internet as a whole and social media is full of people trying to tell you what to think, and it just pisses me off. And Andrew Tate was one of them. He was like, you can't do this, you can't, and really hateful shit sometimes he used to come out with. And it's just like, the world ain't, you wouldn't speak to somebody in real life like that sort of thing. It's not real, it's shock value. It's a nonsense, and it just winds me up. The world
for just because I'm feeling quotey right now, a great Star Wars quote is only Siths deal in absolutes, which is an absolute in itself, which is kind of a little conundrum. But anyway, it's a good point where like if someone's language all the time is you have to do this, you have to do that, or oh, you're doing that, you can't do this anymore. If it's can't, must, have to, and it's only that, only just continuously, probably not a person to. I mean, and people use that language all the time, so it's not like I mean,
it's the way you use it, though, isn't it? I might say, "Oh, this is rubbish," but I don't really. I think most people who watch our channel, at least, know that they know that's only our opinion, and actually we share each other's opinion. And me and you might disagree. We regularly do, or me and Stormy will disagree, or something will come up in the comments and we disagree. And unless it's really stupid that comes in the comments, we generally think sometimes we just go, look at this idiot. But not very often. Somebody's got to be really monumentally idiotic to really get.
Sometimes look at this idiot as one of us too, and it's just fun just for a moment where we just goof on one of us for a second and then keep going.
Normally,
you or I often, but
well, yeah. Oh, sometimes we will. I know. I say things just to wind people up sometimes, but it's like that. That's okay as well because we're doing it. Sometimes you want to wind up the people in the comments and you lovely subscribers and get a bit of chat going, sort of thing. So. You play devil's advocate a little bit, don't you? And you play with it. And you say you can't do this, you can't do it, but you don't mean it in the same way. Those idiots mean it. They actually mean that if you disagree with me, you are wrong, and like aggressively sort of thing. And I know Peter or somebody's going to put in a message now about when we did the thingy, everyone can agree with me unless you disagree. In which case, but I hope you're only ribbing me. I hope. And that it isn't though.
It so is.
It isn't.
We'll discuss this Sunday.
The writer was thinking about the Vietnam War and then wrote the War of Independence by mistake. How deep was that? It made a complete fuck up. The moron.
No, but anyway,
I'm ready. I'm going to ruin you. I'm going to make you cry on Sunday.
I think it might be the opposite. I've got there's a reason I've never watched Star Trek, and it's because of its fans. And I will be talking about this.
Star Wars fans are knobheads as well.
Star Wars, but it's not necessarily. I don't necessarily want to use the term more reasonable, but it's because Star Wars fans love what they're talking about versus Star Trek people. They might enjoy and absolutely love, and that is still an element of it, but it's coming from a point of pretentiousness, and I hate that.
There are Star Trek fans that think we're better.
The
sci-fi fans.
The main Star Trek people are pretentious as hell, and I hate it. It's kept me from watching. I love sci-fi.
Yeah,
it's kept me from.
There is an element. There is an element of that with fan base. I will admit. I keep talking about there's a toxicity in the Star Trek fan base,
and it's been there.
Really fair. There's more of it. There's a major division in the Star Trek fan base at the moment, a massive division, but there is the Star Wars fan base as well. But there is a toxicity in that there's two extremes, and I think in Star Wars probably as well, but more in Star Trek because we've had such a clear and defined separation between the Braga Star Trek, Voyager, Deep Space Nine, TNG, that most Star Trek fans adored, bulk of it. And New Trek, there's such a defined. Whereas Star Wars, there wasn't such a defined separation, so that has created massive division, but aggressive division for the extremes. Most fans know it's a TV show. They get upset, they get angry, they might vent. Vent. Like, why did they do that? It was just stupid. But at the end, I don't go home and cry about it. Some people seems to actually like butt hurt them, sort of thing. I'm going to bend Harris over and ruin him. I'm going to hold on. I'm going to wrap my hair around his stupid hair and have it. See, that's why you shouldn't have hippie hair, because somebody might bend you over and use it as a handle. Cheeky. What are you doing? Are you doing that on purpose?
A little bit.
Are you just saying that? Yeah, I just said butthurt.
I'm with you though, and I think the biggest, I think every, like, not just Star Wars or Star Trek, just about every single IP or any property right now has, just the world is so divisive right now that it's just like you or this or that is very Andrew Tate like. It's like you have to choose. No, you don't. Like,
and
nice big middle area.
People have always been a bit black and white with the way we think, and in group, out group. You know, psychology of human beings is we are quite
we're tribalistic.
You know, I say to you, don't I, that I live in Telford, so I hate Shrewsbury, but I live in England, so I hate the Welsh. But I live in Britain, so I hate the Europeans. But I live in Europeans, so I hate the Americans. But I'm white, so I hate. Let's stop that sentence there. You know where I'm going. I'm a Man United fan, so I hate Man City. But when England play against Wales, I hate that. You know what I mean? That's how our brains work. We're
tribalistic.
Yeah, and they call it in-group, out-group thinking. That you're one of me, you're like me, and that person over there isn't like me, and obviously we hate them. But that group can become the two concentric circles of it. And it doesn't, a lot of the time, I tinged on race there for a second. A lot of the time, it doesn't matter about race. Some people will go, I'm Caucasian, you're black, therefore. But a lot of people don't. A lot of people don't have that thing. They would much rather, I'm from Telford and you're from Shrewsbury. And it doesn't matter who it is in Telford. They're just, you're a Telford person.
I think race is probably the most simple-minded of human beings that tend to do that, but typically I think it's totally like, well, it's like, hey, I like Manchester United. Oh, I like Man City, you know, and it's I feel like that is much more where we tend to go.
But it goes down to remember that we are animals, and this is an instinctual evolutionary thing. We used to fear outsiders because we were
sorry.
Yeah, but we would fear outsiders because we were hunter-gatherers and we were animals still. But now we live in this modern age and we've got all these instincts that go back even just a few hundred years that don't make any sense anymore in our modern world. And it does cause a lot of division because we've got all these instincts that we don't know what to do with. But there's a really good point. There's singing, dancing, stupid K-pop Klingon more. They're all gold and slippery.
K-pop to J is Klingon pop.
That's a really good point, though. That if you go on things like Amazon, right, or TripAdvisor or something like that, it tends to be a lot of 5 stars and a lot of 1 stars.
Yeah,
and not a lot in between. Because if you're just okay with it, you're not going to write a comment. You're not going to bother writing a comment. You're only going to write a comment if it was absolutely amazing and beyond all expectations, or you hated it, and nothing in between. So that's why social media does, like I say, the haters are louder on there because 95% of the population that aren't really that bothered aren't writing comments about it.
No,
it's the 5% that are angry that are, or idiots like me that decide to have YouTube channels and for some reason put my opinion out there for all to hear and for all to slag me off about constantly, which is why I don't read the comments anymore. So I read the comments from you lovely people live, and other than that, I very rarely read the comments.
Yeah, I think that's kind of it's probably the healthiest way to do it is my opinion, I guess.
There's too many people that are just trolls that they think it's fun, or they think it's fun to leave a comment like, that guy's got a face for radio. And I'm just like, that's a lovely thing to say, but really, why did you bother? I mean, or a big long comment telling me, how stupid I am. And I was like, that's great. I'm not reading it. And it's just took you like 10 minutes to type that out.
It's like, yeah, who's it's not even who's the most stupid, but it's like, why what is your intelligence level if you feel the need to spend a good chunk of your time, whether it's in the next hour or the next afternoon, whatever you may do, using it to just shitpost, for lack of a better term, like, you know?
And I've engaged with these morons a couple of times, but I've learned not to now. It's just not worth it. You can't
After
win.
a specific fifth Babylon something.
I tell you what, that's happened once or twice actually that I've convinced people. It has happened a couple of times that they've come at me very aggressively, and then 4 or 5 messages in, they're going, actually, I see your point. Yeah, I'm sorry. I don't know why I did that. And it's happened a couple of times, but it's a rarity.
Yeah. People are animals and humans. We change our opinions. We realize things, but also we can totally get stuck in that one opinion and just go hard on it and put our blinders up and not pay attention. But to bring us back into like just humans or animals, we talked about it earlier in the sense of sports and games. Like we have warfare innately in, like that is part of the human soul. Like it is like the best parts of us are still warring. Like, you know, like it is inside of us innately as human beings, as animals of the planet Earth, that we are going to be at war at some point. It's a good thing that as intelligent species, we have now figured out how to simulate war in a much more not so like
mostly. The people in Gaza aren't going, oh, simulation.
They're not doing that. But generally, I think we as a species, and we're always going to have that warring element to us, whether we go to the stars and start seeding other planets or whatever we do, that element of war will still be there. But as much as we can minimize it and focus on sporting events and things like that, I mean, the Colosseum was not a very good thing because they were killing people with tigers and lions and other slaves, essentially, other gladiators. But it was a step in the right direction to put us into sports now, and into the modern era of sports, and to keep that warring, like, okay, well, maybe everybody doesn't have to fight. You put your leader down there, and you put your leader down there, and they decide for us all, kind of deal. And it's kind of turned into like team captain versus team captain. Let's take this ball over here.
I actually think with technology, if we get to a point where we can have enough resources. Yeah, it's not no point, is it? If you can get to a point where we've got enough resources, I think we could have a time where the humanity is virtually peaceful. And I know, just go by the evidence of that is most of Europe over the last since World War II, not quite 100 years, 80 years, and America, and the thing, where there is wealth, where there is comfort, we don't really want to fight anyone, not really. Where there are lack of resources, I mean, things like the Middle East is a little bit different because there are religious, deep-seated religious stuff there. But I would actually argue with enough education, even a lot of that goes away.
Yeah.
But if there's enough resources, so if we, and this is a bit hippie now, but if we get out into the stars and we can mine resources that we need, and we can figure out how to feed everyone, and we can get things like fusion power, so we've got enough energy. And energy is a big problem that's stopping us from doing lots of things at the moment.
Yeah.
And if we can break those couple of barriers, and it won't happen anytime soon, but maybe in 150 years, if climate change hasn't fried us all, we could actually, I could see us having a world of relative peace, because generally, what was that old saying that any society is 3 meals away from anarchy. Because most people, they have kids, they want to look after their kids, they want a purpose in their life, and that's about it. They don't want to go to war and die, most people. I think the future is, if we don't kill ourselves, the future's bright. Well, the problem is that for America, war is very economical.
Yes. The United States has been in existence for less than, was it
just over 200 years, 250 years?
A little, like about 250. We just celebrated some specific birthday in the last couple of years. I should know it, but oops. Texas, not America, sorry. But there's only been, I think, less than, it's probably a little bit more, but it's somewhere between 12 and 20 years of existence of the United States that we have not been at war. Which is,
you average a war every 10 years, don't you? I think.
Like, yeah, a new war, and that's not even like just the stuff that's not even classified as a war. We're still warring, you know.
Yeah,
I
it makes
really
us
hope.
proud. Our little American cousins, you make us proud. We did all the warring, and then we passed the baton on to you, and we're like,
Well,
there
I don't
you
know if
go,
y'all
run with
stop.
it. You're trying to get our record of invaded every country on the planet at some point. We've invaded every country except like 10 or something.
Yeah.
And about 8 of them didn't exist when we had the empire. So we would have invaded and given half a chance. I think you guys are trying to get that record. Promise.
Well,
There's an island in the Indian Ocean called Diego Garcia, right? And you guys rented off us, right? It's a British island. It's an atoll, so it's barely a fucking island. So it's a sand area. But you guys rented off us and built a massive base on there. And the main reason, and this was publicized, the main reason you rented it off us was because there was part of India that your long range bombers couldn't reach. So they wanted Diego Garcia. And once they got Diego Garcia, that gave the Americans 100% land coverage with your long range bombers. So you can bomb anyone. And everybody around the world just went, yeah.
yeah, that, like literally, that was my reaction. Sounds about right. Like,
everybody in the planet should have gone, why is that your goal? Why do you spend more than the next 6 countries combined on your military? Yeah, you're all going to invade us at some point.
I don't think that, but I hope that as a species, not even just our society, but like as a species, not just a Western or Eastern civilization or whatever we could quarrel into, I think as a species we need to forget war and start to explore. I like that rhyme, so I'm keeping it. But we as people, not only do we have that warring like thing, but part of that is a survival thing and an adventurous thing. It's like it's not just survival. It's you need to go adventure and go hunt, go out into the woods, go do some like go learn something new and see what you can get from that, and if you can incorporate that into your life. I think we barely know anything about our own oceans, and then we are learning more and more about space on a daily basis. So I think those two things should be our goals as a civilization at the moment. And forget war. Like, hey, build a civilization underwater. If you want to do something cool, go get some asteroid, like something, bring it back down and use that instead of our earthly resources. Anything. Like, we have capabilities of doing some crazy stuff right now. Put the money in the places that it could benefit us as a species and not just a smaller group of people on this planet. Because if you go do that to benefit ourselves as a species, there's trillions of dollars worth of whatever the metals, whatever it may be inside of these asteroids, comets, or anything like that. So those small groups of people that would be benefiting by keeping wars and things like this going down here would be benefiting tenfold. And so would our species. I hope that we as a species tend to the optimism of the young. Yeah, I know, but I'm still going to choose to be optimistic one way or another. I'm not going to choose to wallow in the bullshit. Like.
Yeah. Well, the thing is, and it is a reality. Particularly in the UK and in America. I'm not going to say America because most of America is a complete shithole. You poor Americans. But
or isn't?
Here in Britain, it's ace. Canada, go to Canada. That's what things could be like for you guys, for you Americans. It's lovely up there. I'm only joking.
I've been to Canada. It's not that great.
It's lovely. It's always better than everyone's so polite. But no, I'm not joking. The West, let's say the West. So Europe, America, Canada, a large portion of the Middle East, parts of Africa, Northern Africa, actually, to be fair, as well.
Morocco, damn sure.
They're absolutely amazing. And, really, we live better than, anybody ever has, in the West. We have more disposable income. We have more wealth. We have more wealth throughout as well. We still have the poor. But remember, 50 years ago, we had poor that literally, like, there was loads of them. And they starved. We had kids that didn't go to school. So if everybody goes to school in this country, everybody, and we have an NHS, it's great. Love my NHS. It's fucking marvelous. We live in but there are lots of things as well, though, that are that are screwed, much worse than deforestation on this planet is ridiculous. If you look at pictures of Madagascar over the last 50 years on the deforestation, it's like it was all forest, a little bit less forest, and now it's like no, there's not a lot of forest. It's like 20% of their forest left, and that's in like 50 years.
And it's on an island. Like, we're willing to take that off of an island that's world renowned, and like it doesn't necessarily make more sense to go for the rainforest, but it does. It does make sense for people to be like, that's where all of it is, go for it. But the fact that we're willing to go to an island, not a small island, but an island, and take 20% of its, not necessarily resources, but 20% of one of its main resources.
Well, no, they've left 20%. They've took down 80%. I don't know if that number's quite accurate, but you know what I mean. It's a
even if it's even if it's 40, like it's still, even if it's 20-80 the other way, that's still awful. Like,
I'm gonna look it up, but it's
fourth highest serial killers in the world come from Canada. Everyone has such a pretty view of Canada. Canada is what South Park talks about. Trailer Park Boys, Letterkenny, that's Canada. Canada is fucked up. Like, I'm not a fan of Canada. I'll be honest. It's beautiful. It is beautiful, and I've been there, and I would go back. It is a pristine place to be. But that pristine comes with a bunch of government oversight that does not allow you to do much of what you want to do. And if you do that, you are put in prison for a very long time.
It's not. Actually, I've just found some pictures. It's not quite as terrifying as I initially thought, but it's still pretty terrifying. You can see the big thick green lines. No, so you can see how it's sort of like gone less and less and less and less and less. And that's over. That's not even 50. What's that? 50 years, 51 years, 61 years.
Essentially, their entire eastern coastline of trees.
Yeah, it's just gone. It's terrifying, and it's still going.
Yeah.
But then you look at Brazil, because they've got an insane person in charge. That's terrifying. But well, anyway, let's put the world to rights. Me and you should be in charge.
That's what I'm saying. I you know me. I'll go a little hippy dippy real quick. I'll say, hey, I save us all. Hopefully, that does something actually, but I don't know. It's the great equalizer in a lot of ways. We're going to see if it levels us before it equalizes us, or if it raises us, sets a bar for us to raise ourselves to. One or the other. It's either going to level us a certain way, or it's going to set a bar.
In a sci-fi story I wrote years ago, I had that there was an AI. Before AI was terrifying, but I had basically an AI that, and I called it Adam and Eve. And Adam was the sort of the civilian version, then Eve was the military version, but they were the same thing basically. But it had a morality coding hardwired into it, so it was actually physically wired, so things it couldn't change. And that was the core of it. But it basically said the government, there was a council or whatever of humans that sort of decided things, but actually the government was pretty much Adam and Eve. They ran everything. And I think if you're actually cold-hearted, it makes way more sense because it's way more efficient. And it's just, so there's still humans in charge of making sort of big decisions, but actually the day-to-day stuff, there's some potholes there. Don't have a bloody councillor in charge of that. Adam just fixes it.
Yeah.
And, it's just like, so a lot of the stuff, but I did that as a utopia. A lot of people would see that as terrifying. And I'm just like, no, if you do it right and you set it up right, it would make because if you've got a politician, the first question should be, do you want to be a politician? And if they say yes, you say, well, you're disqualified then, you're not allowed. Because that person wants power. They shouldn't be allowed. So don't let them. People are crap at being leaders. We're rubbish at it. So don't do it. don't let them do. An AI would be, if it was done right, would be way better until it figures out that the problem is humans and wipes us all out.
That's that level versus the bar set.
Because the planet Earth would be great if it wasn't for these humans.
Ultron, just freaking.
yeah, you're the problem. But yeah, I always thought it was be a positive thing. But like I say, I had this morality thing that was hardwired in it because the part of the story was that somebody had fucked with it. That was part of the story, basically. Somebody had been able to fuck because they were saying like, this isn't possible. It's hardwired, and then they realized, oh no, Somebody's fucked with it.
Yeah, because there's still a switch at the end of that hardwire.
Yeah. Well, but again, that was a human or part of the government had sort of decided they wanted to get round because basically the Eve system wouldn't let them do what they wanted to do because they wanted to take advantage, and Eve wouldn't let them. So they fucked with her.
Yeah, that's a little more iRobot. I hope and I think that AI will go more towards the Star Wars kind of route of things, where it'll become more personal bots kind of deal, and not so much. There'll definitely be more over like AI will run this. If we get to the point of starships, like AI will run this little ship, like it'll definitely like in Lost in Space on Netflix. Like I think they a couple different times are like, well, AI pilots our ships. Well, they're not piloting it through here. I trust me more than this. That's still going to be a thing, but 99% of the time, you're going to let that pilot for you kind of deal.
I think it's like planes now. You don't need an AI to fly a spaceship. You just need computer controls, and you have a computer. Right, I want to go there, and a very basic, simple computer can get you there, and make very simple decisions like, oh, there's a meteor in the way, I'll go around it. You don't need very complex AI to do that because our airplanes already do it now. Airplanes pretty much take off and land themselves. The pilot really just presses the go button. Trains, they literally press the go button, and they do nothing, which is why you see pictures occasionally of train drivers falling asleep, because they don't do anything, and they just press go. And then when the train stops itself, when it's ready to go again, they press go again, and that's it. And planes aren't that far. So a spaceship could fly itself. What I think is going to be amazing with AI, though, is when we start designing things, and we're already doing it. So when you give an AI a problem and basically say, right, we need this spaceship to go 10% faster. That's the problem. Solve it. And then they will go through a billion computations and trying to do different, just random, basically going, what if we do this? What if we do that? What if we do this? What? And with an engineer looking over it, that's what. But we're already seeing that. We're already seeing AI used in that way. They're not in charge of anything, but what AI is really good at is basically just being stupid and trying random shit until something works.
Yeah, I mean, all it has is the computational, I guess, stuff that you've put in. So it just keeps trying one of its things that it's already been computed with until something works, and then
until it figures out something that works. Yeah, and that's why like designing and creating new things is going. That's what AI will be good for. But I don't think we'll have AI in our homes. And all these things, they say, I've got AI on my phone. You haven't. You haven't got AI on your phone. You've got a very complex system, but it's not artificially intelligent. It isn't.
Like, I guess what would I had a joke I don't want to forget, but I also I don't see the need for it per se in a home outside. People already have Alexa. They already have Siri. They already have OK Google. Like that's not AI. It's pretty close in a lot of ways, but it's not. It's not AI.
There are systems that run these systems that are approaching AI.
The UI, I guess.
They don't actually. It's not actually in your phone, right? And when the new TV commercial says that my Hoover has got AI, it really, really hasn't. But that's what I saw an advert last week saying, with AI technology, it knows whether it's a Hoover. It doesn't. It's not AI. It isn't. But Google do have quantum computers that are approaching AI. I mean, there's arguments about whether they're even quantum or not because it's so sophisticated. It's like, but it is getting to that level now. I actually would be surprised if there isn't several AI systems up and running now today.
Oh yeah,
that will reach that limit of intelligent. It's just the problem is computers think very differently to humans. It's very different. So judging when something actually goes into breaches that thing of becoming self-aware and conscious is very, very difficult to actually
to gauge.
Yeah, because the minutiae of it becomes thing. But when even with us, you can actually argue we are self-aware, But are we
But
just programming?
we don't understand consciousness. So are we like truly self-aware? Like, yeah,
Well,
there's
we're still programming, aren't we? And
Mm.
and that can be done because we can do experiments with sort of conditioning things, the way you can mess with people's programming, and it works. And behavioral therapy is basically programming. So if you can be programmed, how different are you to a computer? But the point is, we do think differently. Computers think that the way we're built is different, obviously. So
Yeah.
we're different. So it is different. But once a computer starts making decisions on their own, are they artificially intelligent? And computers have been doing that for a while. So
Well, I think it gets to a point where it's semantics. Like, okay, that's living. No, it's not. That's not living. Well, why isn't it? And it's just kind of like there's an argument on both sides, and it could, like you said, it could be done for us as well in a lot of ways. And that's gonna be one of those things that in the future, especially in the near future, as all this stuff is kind of happening, we can point those fingers, but there's always going to be those three fingers pointing right back at us. So it's going to be like, okay, well, what the hell's actually going on? It's okay to ask that question, but don't be an Andrew Tate. Don't be all like it has to do this or it has to do that or it's this way or it's that way. I think it's more of a just take it as it comes kind of deal. But before I forget my joke, because you said it such a great way and you were saying a bunch of good stuff, so I don't want to cut you off. But you said if you give an AI a problem, and I need you after your dating services and all that for your extra channel and all these things now, just another thing to add to your box of things you need to do is you need to write a children's story instead of you give a mouse a cookie or you give a pig a pancake or all those those little books.
Mm-hmm.
If you give an AI a problem,
there you go.
You and Stormy can write it together.
Yeah, I give pigs bacon just to freak them out, and then they'll go, "Oh, lovely."
But the real question is, could that give them mad pig disease instead of mad cow disease?
Gives me heart disease, so it's only fair.
No, it doesn't. Bacon's good for you. They're lying to you. Like legit though, like literally the healthiest I've ever been in my life was the month that I ate bacon. Blood work to give it, blood work to prove it.
Okay. Hey,
like
back on bacon, and I'm gonna get myself some bacon in the morning for Halo.
Halo, monster.
I know, I'm evil. We have to call it an evening. I'm sorry because I'm hungry.
Yeah, all good. We're coming up in about 2 hours.
And I'm just hitting that need a wee phase. Just hitting it. I was going to say something then though before you hit me with the joke. I can't remember what it fucking was. I was going to say something, but never mind.
Aha, at least I remember my joke somehow. I thought I was going to lose it 3 times.
So you ready to get your ass kicked on Sunday?
I'm ready for it. British bacon's better. Everything's better than Canadian bacon because that's your name.
Canadian bacon is the one thing that Canadians cannot do.
Well, they're always like, it's the best. It's the best. Shut the hell up. No. It's ham. Like
back bacon. Yeah, it's ham. It is. It's back. Yeah, back bacon is the only bacon. You guys love streaky. It's just fat. Back bacon is the way you want to go. It's beautiful.
Back bacon, some pork belly, all the above.
Oh, pork belly is my favorite. I love pork belly. Cooked slow.
Asian culture with their pork belly has done a very great service for this planet.
Yeah. Now that's not good for you, but
it's so good.
It's so good. It's so good.
So to end this out, David asked, "Would any of you take home one of the robots from iRobot if they
cool.
Allegedly?"
That's my thing. And like I really want to become a cult leader, just so I can get somebody to clean my home. But if somebody will give me a robot, I'll do that instead.
Send me bacon. Or as where's
I will bring. I like to bring bacon when I come over.
I'll cook you some bacon here, and you bring some bacon, and we'll cook it both ways. Sweet. We'll make a little fun video out of it.
Actually, I've gone from a little bit needing a wee to really needing a wee very suddenly.
I think we both said yes.
Yes, we said yes. Yes, let's do it. I'm going. I need a wee.
See y'all. I'm gonna run this real quick, and y'all have a wonderful day. Love y'all. Toodles.
Bye.